You want to double check that you have everything that your recipe says you need. All the utensils, the pots, the pans, the measuring equipment. You want to have everything in place. It's called mise en place. That means to set in place. And so I have already chopped up all my vegetables, gotten everything out that I need. I've got my spatula ready. I have my oil, my seasonings. The first thing I need to do, according to my recipe, is put in the 1 tablespoon of butter. I'm going to turn my pan on high, the front burner, and we are going to put this butter right into the pan. Now, if I left this on high, this butter would burn by itself. Butter has a very low tolerance for burning. And then I need 1 tablespoon of olive oil. It can be any kind of oil. I just like olive oil best. So you want to, these measuring spoons are for liquids and dry, as opposed to dry measuring cups, liquid measuring cups. So we're going to put that in there. And we're going to, it says to let it melt. So I have it on high. Once it starts to bubble, I will turn it down to a medium high heat, and we'll go from there. All right, so we have that. Then it says 3 medium-sized potatoes. Well, we have our potatoes that we cut earlier. These are our cubes of potatoes, or our dice, our large dice. I have them in water so that they don't turn brown. I'm going to drain them. Get all the extra water, moisture out of them, because that was just there to keep them fresh. And then all the little ones that I just cut up, ooh, had some sneakers in there that didn't get done. Put that in there. All right, looks like it's getting there. Butter is melted. I'm going to turn it down. First thing in the pan is the large dice. Next thing in the pan I want to coat them all. Next thing in the pan is all of our littlest pieces. Why? Those are going to help us thicken the soup and give it some body. All right, it says that I need to do that, and it needs to cook for 3 to 6 minutes until it's golden brown and looks good. All right, while I'm waiting for that 6 minutes, I can do some prep work on what's next. All right, the next things, I've got half a teaspoon of garlic salt. I'm going to put these in here in this other bowl. So it says half a teaspoon, making sure that you're using the right measurements. You want to level it off. Okay, half teaspoon of that. An eighth of a teaspoon of black pepper. So my measuring spoons only go to a fourth, so I am going to use half of the fourth, which will give me an eighth. Kitchen math is practical. You need to know your fractions in order to do it. You need to know how many it takes. Okay, so I've got pepper. I have 16 or 14 ounces of low sodium chicken stock. I have 1 small onion cut up, chopped. I have 1 clove of garlic. I need a teaspoon of rosemary and thyme, a cup of hot water, some bouillon granules. They're all here, but they don't go in quite yet. They go in all at the same time. So this needs to go in now with the potatoes as they're cooking. I have my oven preheating for the bread that we want to have with this. So we're going to do this. Stir it around, making sure it's not sticking to the bottom of your pan. You don't want to burn it to the bottom of your pan. Okay. Notice there's no regular table salt in this. It's because that garlic salt has everything in it. It's going to give it the saltiness, along with the bouillon is going to give it also some saltiness. So we don't need to add too much more salt. I always like to err on the cautious of not putting very much salt in it. You can always add more at the table. So, okay. Next into the pot is going to be my onion and celery. And then last will be the bell peppers and the carrots. Now the recipe doesn't call for bell peppers, but I like them. They're colorful. There's a difference between baking and cooking. When you're cooking a recipe, especially a soup recipe, you can add more things or you can leave things out. That's the beauty of that. It's now starting to stick around the bottom. Okay, so now I'm going to add in my onions. They take a little bit longer to cook, and the celery. And I like in my soup, I like the leafy part of the celery. It adds a lot of flavor. Okay, also going to add my garlic in at this point. Before I add in the liquid, which it calls for next. So I want all of this to have a chance to season up and flavor those potatoes. So I'm going to cook that for a couple more minutes. While that is cooking up, I'm going to get my 1 cup of water to add to my bouillon here. So we're going to onions, garlic. Now we need rosemary and thyme. For the rosemary, we need 1 teaspoon, and for the thyme, we need 1 teaspoon. So I'm using the side of the container to level it off. Okay, that's the thyme. And this is the ground rosemary. You can use the rosemary that looks like pine needles, but I find that a lot of people don't like to find a stick in their soup, so they avoid it. So we're putting it in there. Okay. Chicken stock. And that will just cover our potatoes. In with that, I'm going to put in the carrots and the bell peppers. Give it a stir. Okay. We're going to add in 1 cup of water. I'm going to save out my measuring spoons just in case I need to measure something else. And then this says we are going to let this cook for 15 minutes. It says bring it to a boil. Once it's at a boil, I'm going to reduce it and that's when I'm going to start adding the 15 minutes. So I can bring this up. I'm turning it up to an 8 just to make sure it's starts to boil. And while it's getting ready for that, I can take the time to put things away, clean up, do dishes, wipe down my counters, so that when the soup is ready, the only thing I have left is what I'm using to eat it with and the pot that I'm cooking it in. All the other dishes should be washed, dried, and put away by you and your partners.